So, Tommy, I'll begin with you. Hillary can't say this is a vast right-wing conspiracy here. This is the Democratic Party admitting that she rigged the primary against Bernie.
You know what's sad? All this effort, all this work into rigging it, and she still lost.
She
when
can't
you think
even
about
rig
it,
it
it's
right.
actually quite pathetic.
It really is. I mean, she's just incompetent. And, and my point is, if she could rig a primary against Bernie, why wouldn't she try to rig the general against Donald Trump?
You know, that's the question that still remains to be answered. But are we really shocked by any of this?
No.
I mean, I wonder what the Democrats are thinking. Are they really in shock and awe after what Donna Brazile revealed? I mean, come on, let's be honest.
Yeah, and here, I can weigh in on this and tell you that, no, we're not. And 2 years ago, when this was happening, people like me, people like the guy I was working for, Martin O'Malley, we were ringing alarm bells about this.
Oh, wait a second. She not only rigged the primary against Bernie, she rigged it against Martin O'Malley. He would have won the nomination, maybe.
Well, I'm not going to use the term rigged, but there's no question they acted inappropriately and put a thumb on the scale. So
yes.
I'm not going to defend their conduct there. But, hey, man, Jesse, Tommy, where were you guys when they were doing this back then? Because it was public knowledge. People like me were out there expressing outrage. And
well, we didn't know about this until the WikiLeaks emails revealed it. And then what happened was Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to step down on the eve of her own convention.
No, this is reported in 2015. We were screaming from the rooftops, and you were nowhere to be found. I would love to have had your help.
Well, scream a little louder, Liz. Let me ask you guys this. Is this basically the Democratic Party saying, Hillary, go back into the woods, take your Chardonnay, we're done with you? Go ahead, Tommy.
I would say absolutely so. I think they're really trying to get rid of her, and I think that they're trying to kind of bring the anger out of these Bernie bros. And again, where's Bernie Sanders in all this? I said it last night on Twitter. If Bernie has any grit at all, he will tear the DNC a new one. He will be vocal, and all these supporters that he had will come out en masse, and they will denounce the DNC, and something will change. But he's been rather quiet about the whole thing.
Yeah, why haven't we heard from Bernie, Liz?
Because, look, we are moving on. Everyone agrees that the DNC acted inappropriately in 2016. That's why we elected a new leader there. And the new leader, Tom Perez, when he was running for DNC chair, said that the 2016 process was flawed, and he's going to stop it from being repeated again. And let me just say one thing. I mean, you guys are so obsessed with Hillary Clinton, and it's like, move on.
Wait a second.
The Democratic Party has moved on, and you guys haven't. And
Wait a second. I didn't break the news that she rigged the primary. Donna Brazile, a Democrat, wrote a book about it. That's why we're covering it.
I mean, I feel like every day it's Hillary, Hillary, Hillary. And do you remember that guy, Hiro Onada? He was in the Japanese Imperial Army, and 30 years after World War II ended, they found him in the wilds of the Philippines, still fighting the war because no one told him it was over. Sometimes I feel like no one ever told you that the election is over.
I
that
feel
Donald
like
Trump
no one ever told Hillary the election's
lost.
over because she still continues to fight. Tommy?
Oh, my goodness. There's just so many places I could go with that. We're obsessed with Hillary because Hillary is obsessed with Hillary. Furthermore, there are still people protesting the election. It's been almost a year now. So I think that we've accepted it. I'm wondering when the other side of the aisle is going to accept it, because every day in and day out, that's all we hear. So I think that's a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black, don't you think?
All right, well, listen, let's just accept the results of the election and that Donald J. Trump is the President of the United States. Now, let's move on. I want to show you guys an ad, despicable ad, by the Latino Victory Fund. Now, they are aligned with the Democrat running for governor, Northam, who's running against Ed Gillespie. This is an actual ad that was released on television. Go. Tommy, this is a new low in political advertising. They have yanked the ad, and the excuse they use is because a Muslim terrorist mowed down people in his car the other day, but before that they were for the ad, so I don't really know where they stand. And this is helping Ed Gillespie in the Virginia governor's race because it is so outrageous.
Well, it's disgusting. Really, who wants to watch that? Not only is it disgusting, it's misguided. And I'd like to hear what the Democrats have to say about this, if they support it, if they really think that this is what Republicans are trying to do, is mow down minority children. I don't think that's ever been a part of our platform. Do we want to keep out illegal immigrants? Of course we do, but we're not going to mow them down in pickup trucks. Come on.
Liz, let me just put this to you this way. If Romney in 2012 had cut an ad with a bunch of black gang members on motorcycles, you know, running down white kids in a little neighborhood with some rap music, and then at the end it says, you know, paid for Romney for president, the outrage on the national scene would have been white hot. But this is a blip. Because it's a Democrat ad.
Right. Well, no. Well, I first of all, I disagree with that. And you know, just to Tommy's point, she's waiting to hear Democrats weigh in. Democrats have already weighed in. I have not spoken to a single Democrat who has defended this ad. Ralph Northam didn't run this ad. It was an outside group, and he has said that he thought the ad was off, you know, off in terms of its tone and everything.
When they were first asked about the ad, his campaign spokesman said she supported it.
And let me say this. I thought the ad was offensive. I was not an ad that I would support. And you know what? It resorted to the sort of fear tactics that we're used to seeing from the Republican Party. And remember this. It was an ad that was released in response to an ad from Ed Gillespie tying Ralph Northam, who's a doctor and veteran, to MS-13 gang members. So what this has become is a race to the bottom. But remember, it was started by Ed Gillespie.
Well, if it was a race to the bottom, the Democrats won. And there's nothing wrong, Tommy, with saying that my opponent, a Democrat, supports sanctuary cities that allow MS-13 to run wild in Virginia. Is there not?
Well, exactly. I mean, that's a point that we're actually trying to make because it's reality. It's not like it's any part of the Republican platform or Gillespie's platform that we're going to mow down minority children. I mean, it's disgusting, it's wrong, it's misguided. And you're right, at least the Democrats are able to win something, and that's going lower than ever before. So
all right, ladies, we got to run.
And look, there are no sanctuary cities in Virginia. And
from the former interim head of the Democratic National Committee, Donna Brazile, in a forthcoming book, says the system was rigged just like Bernie Sanders said. She charges that an unethical agreement was signed between Clinton's campaign and the DNC to keep the party afloat financially. She writes, the agreement specified that in exchange for raising money and investing in the DNC, Hillary would control the party's finances, strategy, and all the money raised. Brazile also writes that she promised Bernie Sanders that as head of the DNC, she would investigate allegations that the party's nomination process was rigged against him. And here's a quote. She said, I had to keep my promise to Bernie. I was in agony as I dialed him. Hello, Senator. I've completed my review of the DNC, and I did find the cancer, I said, but I will not kill the patient, end quote. So I want to talk about this now with CNN political commentator Scott Jennings, Nina Turner, and Hillary Rosen. Good evening to all of you. Nina, you worked for the Bernie Sanders campaign. What's your reaction to this news?
Well, it's stunning, Don, not surprising, because I and others from the Bernie world, from Senator Sanders' campaign, was saying that something was wrong all along. But take no great pleasure in this. You know, the fact that you have someone like Donna Brazile, who was the first African-American woman to run a national campaign, a presidential campaign, ran Al Gore's, Vice President Al Gore's campaign, 30-year relationship with the DNC and also the Clintons. And whether people agree with what she's done professionally in her life at certain points, the fact that she is pointing this out means that this is serious and that there is absolutely a crisis in the city. And this is not just about an emotional crisis between the Sanders camp and the Clintons camp, but this is really about the economics and the revelation that one campaign, the Clinton campaign, was able to control all of the economics within the DNC, and furthermore, not just even control it, but she also reflected on the fact that the DNC has been suffocated for the last 8 years. We don't just lose 11,000 candidates for no reason. And so this is not just about the Bernie side or the Clinton side, but this is about the people who have been let down, knowing that this has been going on for a long time.
So here's what's interesting. When I heard it, I said, first I was like, is that really a big revelation? Didn't we talk about this during the campaign? And wasn't it Didn't everybody come to a determination that the DNC did skew towards Hillary Clinton? And in her book, she said the DNC, she was surprised the DNC had no money. It had no data operation. She had to pour money into the DNC. Are Hillary Clinton and Donna Brazile basically saying the same thing but using different words?
Yes, they are.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I have to just say, for Democrats to spend a second relitigating this primary fight could not be, stupider. I don't think Democrats across the country want to talk about
this.
But
it doesn't change the fact that it happened.
I know.
Donna
Let me
Brazile
just get my point out.
said it was difficult to learn, but it's not illegal, by the way.
Wait.
Go on.
Let me just say, when you have the conversation we just had 5 minutes ago about this tax bill and where this country is going, that's what Democrats need to focus on, is how we're going to help working people going forward. If we're going to take Donna at her word, then you have to read the whole excerpt, because what the excerpt said is Hillary Clinton bailed out the DNC financially and controlled the staffing of the DNC. But Donna also said in that excerpt, Nina and Don, that she went door to door at the DNC and could not find a single shred of evidence that the actual results of the primary were tilted one way or another. And so if we're going to comment on the book, we ought to go all the way and say that actually Donna said that she found no proof and no evidence at all that the system was rigged. She just said that Hillary Clinton's money was holding up the DNC, and she found that overwhelmingly offensive. Bernie Sanders didn't contribute money to the DNC.
That
did not change the results of any election.
By fundraising, since you want to go there, this is really about a DNC that lacks accountability and transparency, period.
Yeah,
and we can deal with more than one thing at a time.
That's not about rigging an election.
We have to restore the faith and credibility of the Democratic Party, and statements like you're making doesn't help. People are hurt by this revelation, and this does not help. So to cover it up doesn't help. So don't go there with that. The fact of the matter remains is that the way that system was conducted, the DNC did not follow its own bylaws. And so if we're going to have some truth talk here, let's talk about reform, and let's talk about unity, but we got to talk about reform.
Scott, you're sitting there and you're...
Wait. Let me respond, because she just characterized what I said differently. I am all for reform and transparency, 100%. I have been all along. What I will object to till the day we go out is that the voters in the primary chose Hillary Clinton, not Bernie Sanders, and that had nothing to do with any staff person at the DNC. And let's just move on and not keep relitigating this fight. Let's do what we need to do for Democrats together.
Hillary, that kind of sounds like the Russia argument that the Republicans are using on the other side.
No, it doesn't. I'm just saying what Donna said is the truth.
Okay. Scott, I know you want to get in here, but just before you respond, here's a counterpoint here. The Sanders campaign signed the exact same agreement that the Clinton campaign signed, which is the same agreement that the Obama campaign signed. Clinton fundraised with the DNC, gave them the financial lifeline they needed, but Sanders didn't raise money for the party. So was it rigged if both candidates signed the same agreement?
But, okay, go ahead. I'm going to let him go. Go ahead.
Look, I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud on national television. I'm going to stand up for Hillary Clinton a little bit here and just say that it is amazing to me what no one's pointing out, that the President of the United States at the time, Barack Obama, had left his Democrat National Committee in such a shambles that not only was Hillary Clinton having to fight off Bernie Sanders, but she knew that if she were to get the nomination, she had to simultaneously bail out the DNC so it could be a viable entity for the general election. And this really, to me, falls at the feet of Barack Obama, whose path of destruction through the Democratic Party for 8 years is completed by these Brazile revelations. And I have to also say, Don, I cannot stop laughing that the Democrats are self-immolating and fighting amongst themselves a mere handful of days before the Virginia gubernatorial race. They're doing it nationally. The Democrats in Virginia are eating each other alive today over Northam. This is amazing. Republicans are laughing hard today.
Well, and the criticism that Democrats will tell you off camera, because we often talk about what Republicans will say off camera, but they won't say on television. Democrats will tell you that they believe Barack Obama didn't leave any room for anybody else in the party. That's why the bench is so weak right now, because it was Barack Obama's party, much as it's Donald Trump's party, the Republican Party right now. But here's my question. I have to go to the break, but many people say that Bernie Sanders wasn't a real Democrat. that he was not really a Democrat. And so that's why he may not have gotten the support of the DNC. I'll ask Nina about